Hello, my name is Ian, and today I'm going to be doing a video in response to Dr. Campbell's prompt. The prompt was, what is the role or impact that philosophy has had in your life, and whether or not that has been good or bad. And so in the spirit of Dr. Campbell, I've got the whiteboard out, and hopefully it will help make it a little easier to follow along with what I'm trying to say. And what I am going to try to say is going to break down into roughly 3 sections. The first, in which I want to talk about some of the definitions of philosophy, or how I think about philosophy, and then in the next part, I want to talk about how I've incorporated these beliefs into my decision-making processes and some of my thought processes and the impacts that these definitions of philosophy have had on my life. And then in the last part, the important stuff, right? Whether or not these impacts have been good or bad. And so, with that brief overview, let's go ahead and get started. Now, in the first section, I wanted to give some definitions of philosophy. Now, the reason I wanted to do this is because in watching some of the other video responses, I noticed that in order to properly answer this kind of question, one becomes forced in one's own mind to kind of go through, to vocalize what sort of meaning, what sort of definition that philosophy has for them, and then to go ahead and say, what the impacts have been from that. So, with that in mind, I've taken a couple of popular examples from Socrates. The first of which comes from the Ipad2, in which Socrates gives a definition of philosophy as the study of death. Study of death, right? And I have a quote too that I want to read from Socrates, and it goes, those who really apply themselves in the right way to philosophy are directly and of their own accord preparing for death. So, what does that mean for Socrates, to prepare for death? I think what Socrates is trying to say is that the study of death is the starting point for a philosophical life. So that the deepest, right, the most deeply rooted questions about being and existence really come from that contemplation, that examination of what it means to die. What does it mean for my life that I will die, things like that. And so, for me, this is the platform. This is the launching pad for most philosophical discussion. Now, in the second part, I want to talk about another one of Socrates' notions, which he calls the art of living well, which he brings up in the Republic and numerous other places. The art of living well, or what Socrates would call the good life, right? Now, for me, I think this is the procession. This is the process. This is the logical step after these sort of more deeply rooted metaphysical, ontological questions and beliefs that arise from philosophy as the study of death. Then we start to see the application, right? How do we make applicable these things that we believe now? How do we how do we explicate these, right, in our own lives, in our day-to-day routines. And so, for me, this is the process, right, of philosophy. And now I want to go ahead and talk about how this process has manifested in my own life. And the main, I think, the starting point, right, again, the starting point is in religion, right? Everything that most people ages, up till you're 15, 20 years old, what you believe about death is very heavily influenced by religion. And so, for me, the birth of my philosophical thought really was in religion, but not really freely chose, right? And that's important. And so, when I first started to get into some of the philosophical texts and things of that sort, I realized that I had to suspend these beliefs, right? I had to, in a Cartesian sense, I had to doubt what I previously knew, and so I gave up. Not wholesale, obviously. It's a hard thing to do, but I tried to doubt what I thought I knew, and it just so happens that I never really got back here. I happen to go in a direction that a lot of people go, which is a nihilistic direction of meaninglessness and nothingness, and it's interesting now to see from religion, right, as a study of death, what would the process be for religion? Well, obviously you get things like the commandments, all the ethical doctrines that are held up in there. That's predicated on these metaphysical, these ontological presuppositions of religion. That you will live after you die, do here, so that you will go to heaven as you die. Now, once you sort of get rid of that, of course, all these ethical doctrines have to go away too. And so, something I was left with, let's go ahead and look, right? From religion, we go to, we'll call it nihilism, right? And from nihilism, what sort of ethical doctrines would I adopt? Well, and this is actually the case, and it is for most people, I think, too, hedonism, right? If I believe I'm going to die and it's all meaningless, well then Bentham says, pleasure and pain, and that's what it is, right? And this certainly was the case for me for a long time. And the way that I kind of got out of this, I'll go ahead and get rid of this. And the way that I got out of this is you have to first change the metaphysical, the ontological, right? And the way that I changed that is, I was reading Marcus Aurelius, and I came across something that he talks about, the universal nature, right? What is the universal nature? And he talks about man as a social being. And for me, this was really important, man as a social being, because from here now I can get a different ethics, right? And what I kind of got was Stoicism. But this is, for me, this is again just reflective of how you're going to go about defining philosophy and how it's reflected in that process, right? Philosophy as the study of death, philosophy as what it means to be, and then philosophy as the art of living well, or what you're going to do with it, you know? And so, whether or not that's been good or bad, whether or not these actions that I've taken have been good or bad, I think really for me the key here is something from Mill. Mill talks about higher and lower pleasures, right? And if you adhere to this, that there are higher and lower pleasures, that things like philosophy and mathematics fall into the realm, things that are pleasurable for their own sake, right, intrinsically pleasurable, are of a higher character than lower pleasures, things that are only pleasurable in that they get, you know, something else, means to the end, right? So for me, I never had philosophy before, right? All I had was these lower pleasures. Even when I had religion, all I had was these lower pleasures because I didn't do philosophy. Once you start to do philosophy, it doesn't matter it doesn't matter what, I could still be a hedonist, right? But if I was still a philosopher, then I still have that higher pleasure. And so for me, that's really undeniable that philosophy has been good in that sense. And so that's really all I got. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching my videos, and thank you.